I know, but it wasn't recording because I forgot to hit the dot, which is a good thing because now all that stuff
We can hear you.
Anything you want to hear.
All right. For God's sakes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh yeah, it's going. Yeah, thank you. I do talk like that all the time.
Lying on the beach. I watched a guy about as old as I am do push-ups. Pretty good push-ups, almost perfect. He did 25, then ran in place. Pretty good for a man his age. I made an exit back to the 71 to the city, the noise of the imagination. Lord Wordy's castle. Little rocks of ideas, the board shall bend another sky when tomorrow arrives, waiting upon wanting, not to wait to want, as though you are waiting on another tomorrow that does not peer upon your peers. They are among us. The uninspired day sits as a boat tied to a pier on a calm day, like Winslow Homer without his come-hither passion and longing into the distance of clouds. And you forget what you're about to say next. My thoughts are fragments of sentences, things I tried to say but can only line up in front of me like shells in a shell and pea game. Villanelle, 2012. The day is as calm as it should be. The stars smile because we are here. The night to be is as dark as the sea. The sky at the beach blue and me. My friend, it is that, ah, my dear. The day is as calm as it should be. The calm is calm. The key to her heart is not clear. My mind is as dark as the sea. Tonight the stars are love. Tea and nectarines are symbols. Mere calm on waters. Today as it can be. Close to dusk, passion, quiet. Tree and squirrel dance together. For near tonight to be is as dark as the sea. Can't speak. Slowly, slowly we accept the dawn in the sky. Fear the day is as calm as it should be. Tonight my mind is as dark as the sea. Vortex. A dog day of the calm mind, a linear vortex, interstices of a divine one, emotions that are as perishable as food left out on a hot day. One thought flies by a second. I wish I could grab it with my hand as though it were a housefly and put it in my back pocket. But it is only a word, just a word out of my mouth. Not an object in the universe. It has expressed itself out of my mouth and has flown up to a star, where it is like the angel it was meant to be. Aura Poema. The talk of the poem, the hour of sunlit language within me lurks and broods. Within me lurks the confusion of a true confession. Where is language, the communion of connoisseurs to go? It is poor with expensive tastes. My talk is cheap as cheap wine. North Beach in the quavering sunlight, a sunny day like a sharp tongue. People assure themselves the world is flat as language that walks a straight line.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. And now, reintroducing himself after first time since the last time, Mr. Brett Benson. Will you kindly come forward? Miss Benson, then we got John, Julian, Allie, Buford, Rob, Tommy, Morgan Freeman, and Alistair Crowley with the all-night images.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Cool. Okay. Haiku circa 2012.
Oh, good.
Snooki is pregnant. Due December 21st. Hey Mayans, well played. The universal self. It's a whale. It's an ant. It's the otter you see playing in the creek. It's the goat walking through the fields and eating whatever's in sight. It's the birds in the sky. The universal self is not female. It's not male. It's just human. The universal self is a part of the grand scheme. The universal spirit. It's not Jewish. It's not Christian. It's not Hindu. It's not Buddhist. It's not Taoist. It's not Muslim. It is simply the best in all of us. The universal unity. There is a force that runs through everything. You can see it when plants grow, if you take the time to look at it. It is a feeling that you get when you look at the wind in the trees. You know that us being alive is a gift, and it's only here for so long. The universal self, the universal spirit, the universal unity is simply being alive, being good to ourselves, being good to the other, and being good to our environment. This morning, I had a conversation with an 11-year-old girl. I work in an outdoor school, and she was there for a week at science camp. She said to me, "You know, Bear, I'm really glad to be here, but I'm missing home." And I said, "That's totally fine, because you know what? Home is where the heart is." And she said, "Wow, that's really wise." She said, "Sometimes I'm not getting along with everyone here." And I said, "Well, that's fine, but as long as you recognize the divinity in others, then you're doing the best you can. And you shouldn't stumble just because someone comes at you." And she says, "Wow, you're like a red-headed Buddha." And I said, "Thanks, but I'm not enlightened, unless I turn on a light in the bathroom." We continued to talk, and she was baffled by the way that you could look down at the water and say, it's calm. If you throw a stone in it, ripples go everywhere and they affect other people. Therefore, our energy affects other people. So if I'm not calm, the entire group can't be calm. And she said, "This is ridiculous. I don't know if I can handle this much intelligence." I said, stop. Thank you very much. On and on and on, we talked about different things. And finally, when our conversation was done, she looked at me and said, "So, how do you conquer fear?" And I said, "Whoa. Okay, I got you. You rise above it, and you don't let it control you. You look that fucker in the face, and you say, 'No, not today.'" Now, of course, I didn't say the F word to an 11-year-old girl because I value my job and my free rent. But I did say to her, "You believe in yourself, right? Good. Don't stop doing that. Because you know what? There's a point where you realize, like Socrates said, the more I read, the less I know." I understand that's not exactly what the words were. But I wanted her to know that I might have something to share, but so did she. And that was enough. Thank you.
Thank you. John? Oh, give him a round of applause, please. And can you help him with the microphone a little bit? Are you gonna mic the voice and not the guitar?
I think I'm on.
All right. Okay.
All right, hello everybody. This is my third time here. Tommy Abacoa Mecca convinced me to come, and I
Thank
really
you, Tommy.
enjoy it. I enjoy the poems I'm hearing, and I hope that you enjoy some of the stuff I can give back. So I'm gonna do a song that my wife Vicki Leitner wrote. She wrote this the day after Trump was elected. It's called post-election. Actually, then she called it post-election acute depression blues. The day after inauguration, she changed it to post-election chronic election blues. And I think the next one is post-election suicidal depression. You know, but anyways. Post-election chronic depression. Post-election chronic depression. Post-election chronic depression. Aspirin and kill the pain. 4 hours later, it's back again. Friends and family got same condition. Friends and family got same condition. Gotta get out of this position. Gotta be working midterm election. Gotta get out of this position. Ain't no pills. Ain't no shots. Just eat your chocolate. Smoke all that pot. A lot. We gotta get over this. Post-election chronic depression blues. Mass hypnosis, group psychosis, mass hypnosis, group psychosis, blow my brains with high explosives. Truths are lies and the lies are true. Don't matter what you see or what you do. Gotta change a house, a people's house. Can't drain the swamp from the new White House. Can't drain the swamp from the new White House. 4 years of Trump and 4 of Pence. 2 of Ryan if we got any sense. Took care of that one. Ain't no pills. Ain't no shots. Just eat your chocolate. Smoke all that pot. We gotta get over this. Post-election chronic depression blues. Take some time, get centered again. Take some time, get centered again. Take some time, get centered again. Control, test, resist, and pick up your pen. Hit the sidewalk and bring a friend. Ain't too late to change your fate. Ain't too late to change your fate. Ain't too late to change your fate. Take a trip where the red flag goes. We're all brethren, we're not foes. Ain't no pills. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Julia. Oh, Julia. She is new here, I think. Oh, this is her second time. Okay. Give her a round of applause anyway. Let's go.
Oh, awesome. So, my friend Cassie over there, she has this amazing, well, she's a writer, and she has this amazing website where she writes bits of wisdom and thoughts, and sometimes she invites other people to write and share too. It's called A Note to Myself When. I'm just going to tell you all to check it out. It's really great. A Note to Myself When, and she just curates this really great platform for mental health and also reflections about life and living. And I'm just going to read a piece from this one, My Canoe Flips. So it's A Note to Myself When My Canoe Flips. All right.
Is this by you?
Yes.
Okay.
This is by me. All right. So your canoe has flipped. 1 minute ago, you were paddling down the river. The sun was sparkling on the water and the birds were singing. The next, you're upside down and underwater. Maybe you hit a rock or a current. Maybe everything was pulled out from under you. Or maybe, deep down inside, you knew you didn't want to paddle that way anymore, and you decided to bail. In any case, here you are, upside down and underwater. It can be a scary place in those dark and churning waters. But know that you are not the first human to have ever been here. So many people have been here before. And while this is a scary, disorienting place, know that even if you don't know up from down or down from up, that this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to make friends with pandemonium, to practice, in the words of Pema Chodron, intimacy with fear. I love this line from her introduction in When Things Fall Apart. I think that we may not forget this proclamation that chaos should be regarded as extremely good news. So you're flailing underwater in the dark with nothing but this concept, intimacy with fear. It sounds strange, but I found this concept comforting when my own canoe flipped. Panic is instinctual, but remember, you are buoyant. You will slowly rise to the surface. It will happen. The best advice I could possibly give is to slow down. Our impulse might be to thrash our way to shore towards safety and security, but I encourage the opposite. Slow strokes. Take your time. Be intimate with your fear. Explore it. Reflect. Take your time to recollect yourself and really investigate what you're wanting when you get back to that shore. Rather than rush to what feels safe and comfortable, take this opportunity to really investigate yourself, your life, your dreams. Your canoe has already flipped, so why not? What better opportunity than now to give an honest look at things, to question what needs questioning, to explore what needs exploring. Maybe this is not a failure, but rather a moment of grace and possibility and potential, a moment for change. This is a time for rebuilding your life anew, for stoking those creative fires and crafting the life you want. And this is a time to lean into friendship. About 8 months after my own canoe flipped, I was still in the middle of the river, still making my way slowly to shore. I feel like I'm still just swimming, I told a good friend as we sipped tea. I'm tired. But you love to swim, he replied. You love the water. So why not just relax and enjoy a good swim? He had a point. Why not?
Thank you. Yeah. Allie Rigby, and our mini feature Buford. Get him ready over there. Oh, can you move this just about towards this way? Yeah. That way I can
Like
frame
so.
you with no one else in the back
Yay.
and no window movement in the back. Right?
Great. All right. I've read this poem here before, but I'm going to read it again. Practice. All right. It's a 5-part poem. This is part 1. Part 1, Smoke. I am the girl who does not want to be found today, and you sit here listening, so kind. I will explain myself once more. Listen close.
This city makes me crave fingers that rake the trash on faulted sidewalk cracks. I harvest hunger in the fog until I'm too tired to try. What else am I forgetting? The flicker of hope, the big city feeling, Valencia Avenue with all the ant people and Bay Bridge dripping light acid trip, magnifying glass, homeless, big homes, foodless, foodies. Salesforce is the second largest building in America. Priority check. Something. I am forgetting something. Do you ever ask for the coffee decaf and it's still too much? My medicine, my nausea, the shakes. Is this fine? Is this okay? Is this good? His licks on an upper thigh, hesitant as the first fall rain. That was months ago now. We thought we were unique, wrapped together, fast asleep, and I was looking for a quick fix too. Drifting was smart, so we did. Have you ever been lonely in love? 1 year ago, I fought and I tried and I fought and I paid 1 wounded year in recovery. Many tears. I miss morning kisses. I don't remember if it was good or bad when we fought or if I won. I remember wanting to be held. And now, another one, again, not ready to be loved. That's okay. Luddite woman with depression can be tough, like roasting in the park on a crowded lawn, grass stains on the grass, blue jeans near Union Hotel, and I choke sometimes like the baby with apnea I was born into this world with. Breathing on land is not easy when you were born a fish. What's it like? It's like I've been hired to organize a party, a wedding, a funeral. I don't know. I don't know where the tables are supposed to go, or the number of people, the chairs, the seating arrangements, and the general mood I'm supposed to extract today. Have you been at a party sandwiched between lonely and doubt and a loneliness, hunger that cannot fix the empty? What I need now, I needed to do a week ago. How many times do I try to explain myself to people with power who just don't get it? My body has answers and breath, but my mind has a loudness that shouts, this is rubbish, trying to find patterns. All right. These are my true dreams on being a barista one day. The barista life must be a good one. Cappuccino, affogato, espresso, the classic decaf or house blend, like, why are you here then? Really? Regular coffee? Come on, I'm not judging you, but I am judging your $3 cup of Joe. Regular, but you take it black and no sugar, so I respect that. I would like to be happier. I think I would be happier as a barista. Do you ever have such thoughts? They say we're not supposed to romanticize, but I dream of tattooed arms spiraling a wooden toothpick through foam, concocting the perfect latte swirl, caramels mixed in, and I serve to the quiet woman in the corner reading Scottish poetry and an article by Roxane Gay by her cafe confident self. I would own that barista life, like that 2% soy, almond, or regular. Did you ask if we have yak milk? Well, yes, thank you for asking. And I would sigh, and I, the quiet woman in the corner reading Scottish poetry, and yes, an article by Roxane Gay, by her cafe confident self, and wish that I too was sitting at that table, licking foam from the mug, writing about the dream life of my barista self.
Hey, Rigby. Now, Buford Bunton, our mini feature for the evening, who will be followed by Rob, then Tommy, then Sharon, then Shem, then Julie, and Garrett Murphy, and the closer Owen, who is the clincher closer, super duper bulldozer, as we like to describe that particular.
This is great. It makes me feel tall.
You are tall
Yeah, comparatively.
and mighty poet.
Yeah, except I can't do that very well. Thank you, David.
Sink him down.
Oh, I see. That's a different that's a different approach to the microphonal arrangement.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome. There we go. Thank you, David.
I was a baseball jock who also was pretty good in the classroom as a student. And now I'm a teacher. And this is about baseball. Ballpark. the big, beautiful sky during day game sunshine, the dark sky filling the crevices of the park at night. The Giants, 2010, 2012, and 2014, winning everything, often at the last minute. My buddies and I in the quote, not hole, unquote, free to stand for 3 hours, no entrance fee required. Bruce Bochy's grumbly voice. Buster Posey's the top player whose prowess, even when most of the rest of the team can't produce. In 2018, the Giants' fate undetermined, very few games into the cool of the season. San Francisco, here I come. In 1977, tired of Atlanta, I left, bereft of spirit, kids rough and lacking motivation, a city nation with growing pains. The main problem was I was young and mainly stung by being put down, my frown big. I wanted to dig a new scene, go to San Francisco town, and I didn't want, I didn't want to name myself in the conservative South. This is hard to read. This is my soul. Anyway, radical San Francisco I came. Got a San Francisco Unified School District job back in 1978. Then Proposition 13 did us 10 teachers' aides in, and a lot of other people too. Now, working in libraries for 15 years, instead of shedding tears, I came back to San Francisco Unified School District. It's not easy, but it's almost home. This is called My Brother John and the Family. My family was not the typical Southern family, and they were. We were not rednecks in the typical sense, and we were. Because both my parents were smart. We all turned out smart. But like highly intelligent people sometimes are, we had our mental health problems, especially my older brother John. John was bipolar, could go from extremely happy to extremely sad or angry in a very short period of time. We had our problems, and because he was older and probably thought himself entitled to do so, he would threaten me verbally. And being 6 feet or 6'1" at the time, and heftier then too, he scared me into being submissive to him and his sometimes outrageous control. He felt he was entitled to do things like take the needle off the record player when songs such as Simon and Garfunkel's The Boxer came on. Lila Lie, Lila Lie, 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 disappeared into the silence. He was not easy to get along with at these times, but sometimes he was very supportive of me, such as when I wanted to play intramural softball in college, John talked Daddy into letting me do so. We had a business. It was a family business, and John really owned the business. My father just, worked 70 hours a week helping him. When John had problems, he could quit. He could not quit disturbing, frightening, really. John apparently felt badly about this, and at 34 years old, he killed himself. All right.
Thank you.
That's all I could do.
All right, that's good. Thank you. God bless John. Rob, Just in case you didn't know it was Rob, you're up there. Yes. No, wait, the other Rob. Sorry, I'm just, you know. He knows there's only one Rob. Yes, and the uke. Thank you for the uke.
Yes.
I'm used to it. That's the first time I've used that one. Last time I'll use that one. I'm gonna focus in on you, Rob. And do you have a name for your ukulele?
I do not.
Well, you should name that thing.
It's just inanimate wood. Don't sentimentalize.
Your uke is crying now.
There you go, baby.
Now we're talking some passion here.
All right. I would like to dedicate a song to one of our esteemed confreres who earlier this evening gave me some very sage but utterly hopeless advice. This is called Fucking and Friendship. No more songs of longing and loss. No heartbreak, no haikus, no lover's cross. If you want my beating blood, then take me right home. Just don't write some fucking poem. I don't want to chase you, for that would debase you. You cannot be free if you're just some commodity. So let's fuck or not. Let's be friends or not. Let your hormones out to play. But don't torture fucking and friendship this way. I'll never love you, only my idea of you. My love is a mental movie that you're invited to. I love me when I'm thinking of you. Don't call me shallow or without a clue. I hate to be the one to say this to you, but mommy and daddy only love the idea of you too. I'm a fan of masturbation, just the kind without words. All those love songs and novels are just steaming manipulation turds. Let's stop mental masturbating and pretending it's more. Let's do it on the bed. Let's do it on the floor. I don't want to chase you, for that would debase you. I don't want to claim you, for that would only shame you. We cannot be free if we're just some commodity. So let's fuck or not. Let's be friends or not. Let your hormones out to play. But don't torture fucking and friendship this way. And I will finish with a little poem. This is called Escapee. I'm just another escapee, fleeing to drugs, or God, or TV. These be the big three, you see, but in this millennium of misery, escapes expand exponentially. The big three are purest ubiquity. Picture someone imbibing freely while watching the telly, a program of the holy variety. Enough escapist simultaneity to sedate a fucking manatee. Hard to solve hunger, poverty, and unrelenting inhumanity when your brain has fled reality. A paradox of insurmountability? Alas, we'll see.
That's Rob, ladies and gentlemen, with a small W.
Small, very small.
Tommy Abacola-Mecca's in the house. Give him a round as he comes up here. The famed Tommy Abacola-Mecca. Stage, screen, stardom, stars in his eyes.
All lies.
I could go on, but then he'd start looking at me and say, "Will you just cut it?" Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, because otherwise we would see his shoulder, and on his face.
You were sitting on the other end of that wooden bench outside the cafe. I was waiting for a friend. You were homeless, old and small-framed with bruises on your face. You were picking at a scab. You said something about the weather. We exchanged a few words. A man approached. He swung his bag at your face, then spit on you. I yelled at him, told him to leave you alone, called him an asshole. He hurried away across the street through the heavy traffic without waiting for the light. He didn't even look back. I asked if you were okay. Did you know that guy? He said, no. You seemed to take it all in stride, as if it had happened before. I didn't need to ask. We give flowers, plant genitalia, displaying them openly, even in churches, never thinking about what they are. Our genitals remain out of sight, under lock and key, in cloth fortresses, even when our bodies are laid in the ground. We refer to them in childish euphemisms, think of them as something dirty. The more we try and hide them, the more we don't talk about them, the more we think about them. A wardrobe malfunction on TV, a half-second flash of a breast, which isn't even a genital, though we treat it like one, causes more outrage than children being blown up in Syria or Iraq. What power these genitals have. It's as if the sight of them will make us go blind or mad, release some imaginary deity's awful wrath, cause floods, earthquakes, and the trains not to run on time.
Oh my God.
How sad that most people never feel the sun on their genitals, the wind, never know what it's like to walk naked on an endless beach, inhibitions shed like the skin of a snake. Why is it that flowers can bloom without shame and we can't? Sometimes you want to go back to places where you used to hang, sing all the songs that you once sang, get drunk with that old gang. He says America was great. He never says when that was. When native people were given blankets infected with smallpox, when the first slave ships appeared as a speck on the horizon, when children were put to work in sweatshops and workers were forced to endure 12-hour days, 7 days a week without vacation or sick leave, when the Japanese were rounded up in internment camps. I first glimpsed his great America on that small screen black and white TV in the living room of that old house, a magical telescope into places I had never imagined. I saw hoses aimed at peaceful civil rights marchers who were beaten and even killed. Their leader never got to the mountaintop with them. I saw a Vietnamese girl running naked down an old dirt road, her body on fire from napalm dropped by American planes. She was screaming, and so was I. I saw Hollywood writers and actors assumed guilty before they were proven innocent, forced to appear before a committee of fools, the new Inquisition. Are you now, or have you ever been having impure thoughts about communism? I saw cowboys killing native people they called Indians, who were played by white men. Indians who just wanted to reclaim land stolen from them or promised in treaties broken before the ink was dry. I saw men who wore dresses to get laughs, but when I put on mama's skirt, my sister warned me not to tell anyone or I'd get beaten up. In a society of Barbies and Kens, I was the one who actually had cojones. Return to that America? Not as long as I have a voice to raise, a fist to clench, 2 feet to march, a mind to question, a heart to pound furiously. For in the graveyards of that great America are the bones of friends who were lost in a country, not 'tis of me, that blamed my kind rather than a virus, that didn't care what we did in bed or who we did it with. A nation that let us die rather than upset the profiteering snake oil sellers of the vengeful deity it worships, even on its currency, its most sacred text. America, you're on notice. Going back will never be an option. So you can toss your hat and your slogan, your flag and your Bible, because I've set them on fire. Thank you.
And now, the voice of wisdom, reason, intelligence, wit, and humor, Sharon Scott Kish is going to be coming out here. Give her a round of applause, and we got Shem and Julie and Garrett and Owen coming back to close us, and we have these fine, wonderful prizes designed with your mind in mind. As I like to say.
In my mind.
Yes.
And I don't mind.
I don't mind if you do.
This is called Cigarettes, Cocktails, and Matchbooks. Beatrice Jo Nichols was born May 15th, 1921. It was Mother's Day. Weighed 10 pounds. Now that's a big baby, especially since Eva, her mother, was 4'10" and born at home in Oskaloosa, Kansas. Only a knife under the bed to cut the pain. Time moves on, and she is one hot mama. Born at just the right time in Kansas City, is jumping, and she is enjoying the 40s with many. Like her mother, she travels with a lot of clothes, and she's a clothes horse. Always dressed to the hilt, nails always done, made sure that Bill, my stepfather, was clean as the Board of Health. While I was still in grade school, she would come home for Mother's Day and her birthday, which was the schedule, and I would spend Christmas with her and Bill in Denver. She'd come back in the fall. Well, it's Mother's Day and Bee's coming home. So she would come home and she would tell us, I'm coming, and my Aunt Margie would grumble, all those damn suitcases. Overnight ride. Sometimes I would come by myself to visit her, but that was back in the 40s and 50s when you could travel by yourself. And all the porters and waiters knew us. They were in our neighborhood. They had layovers in our neighborhood. They stayed in the different homes. They had girlfriends in the homes. They had second families in the different homes. So here it comes, and B is coming. The city of St. Louis is pulling in. Steam. Stops. The porter opens the top half of the door. When the train stops, he opens the door, brings the stool down, and people start to embark. These are people he's had a relationship on this trip. They're guides. The porters know where all the whorehouses are, where all the gambling joints are, where all the after-hours clubs are. And they know the bookies too. As they all depart from the train, the men are handing him envelopes. He's handing them pieces of paper. The women are stepping down. The men are handing him money. The women are not. The kids he lifts down, and they love it. He sees us and he says, she's on this train, and she's sharp. He says she's 2 cars back. We run back to meet her, and there's all the steam coming out of the train, and there's B. In a persimmon coat with a fox collar, a big black hat, and a big suitcase. It's really not a suitcase, it's a hat box. Samsonite. We go back to get our luggage, and there is luggage. Luggage, luggage, luggage. And hat boxes from Newsteaders and Gano Downs. She is sharp. My Aunt Margie is, not pleased. We get home, she goes out with her friends, we have a great dinner, we have a great time with everyone. I paint her fingernails, because I'm her best fan. And she says, look at this ring, Bill gave it to me. And it's an emerald, it's her birthstone. Time for her to leave, and she goes. Purple suit, purple hat, purple shoes with little velvet violets on it, and that ring, and those gloves. She calls us up when she gets home, and she's hysterically laughing. What's wrong? She says, I told Bill that I hate that damn car, and we need a new one. Okay, what happened? She says, we pull up into the gas station, and that son of a bitch, gets ready to start the car, turns the steering wheel, and it comes out. B gets up while he's talking to the owner, calls a cab, goes inside, calls a cab, and goes home. He comes home, he's red as a beet in the face. He's embarrassed, and she says, "You better be red and beet in the face." She said, "Because I'm not riding that piece of shit again." Fast forward many years, Bill dies, and she's on her own. She has a stroke, a massive stroke, and she's totally paralyzed on her left side. She works hard, and she gets back up, and she's on her own. But then, she's proud, she doesn't want to take her medicine. So, she's not taking her medicine, and she has small strokes. I have to go, and she's calling and calling and calling. Then she's decided, they've called me from the home, that someone has stolen her ring, her emerald birthstone. I said, "Don't call the police, please. It's in that house." So when I go to finally close her house up, I find lots and lots of little evening bags. The evening bags have matches, they have old lipsticks in them, they have little vials of perfume, they have handkerchiefs, they have programs from all the dances and sorority dances and parties they've gone to. And I open one bag, and the little bag has a piece of Kleenex in it, and it has her emerald ring.
Darren Scott Tisch. Tomorrow, Shem to be followed by Garrett Murphy and then Owen to close us out. Give Shem a round of applause as he comes up. And then we have Shem, Julie, then Garrett. There we go. You got things like that. That's good.
Hi. Let's see. I'll just improvise something to get the birthstone thing. So I was born on October 17th, 1968 on an early snowy night in a mountain commune in Northern California. And my sister was woken up and kicked out of her bed because it was more comfortable. We were in a barn loft, I guess, and she was sent out into the night to go to the main house to wake up the groggy, formerly stoned people to come to my birth. Stoned. All right. Anyway.
Nice background.
Which is how we came up with the name of the magazine.
Thank you. Stoned at birth. Urban nature scene. So I wrote this last week, and I think I read it last week too, but I'm going to read it again. Practice. Updraft plastic bag swirling, drifting, twirling, it spontaneously makes wind visible in the Safeway parking lot at Market and Church. Lovingly enclosed in Ziploc baggies, placed near overflowing trash cans, gleam carefully displayed canine excrements on edges of parks. The lattice of wire and cable that cuts the sky geometrically is being buried, little by little, below streets and alleyways. Soon the pigeons and tennis shoes will have no wire left to sit and hang. Field mice scurry through buildings, the supplanters of grassy, vast expanse. I didn't tell you to build your buildings on top of my meadowlands, I imagine the mouse would say if it could speak in human language. Earthworms thrash about in cracked concrete rain puddles, reckless, unconcerned. If only like worms, we could live carefree while birds eat us for breakfast. And the cracked concrete rain puddles were stolen from this other poem that I read here before, but I'm just going to do it again. My simulacra do not fit inside your letterboxes. My emoticons do not reflect your pixelations. My unhinged front doors skulk around the edges of your banquet hall campaign dinners. My forest floor mycelia often appear bemused by your chewing gum stained sidewalks. My earthworms thrash about in your cracked concrete rain puddles. My good hair, when oiled up and shining, sublimates your disdainful glances. My itinerant amalgamations interpolate your purposefully designed algorithms. My inner crunchy Beavis feels simultaneously repulsed by and drawn to your outer creamy butthead. My market-driven cycles of therapeutic release get tripped up at every turn by your swarms of deep data-driven drone hordes, 3D nanoprinting endless piles of neo-Freudian desires every time I risk it and step out from under the protective shield of my inner sanctum. My adverse childhood experience survival maps pair exquisitely with your trauma-triggered psychotic interludes. My heart dreams, clouded over by probable coronary artery bypass surgeries, ache for your laparoscopically removed gallbladder insights. My inner sense of nothingness, smelling of ozone and tobacco, desperately needs a hug from your engulfing sense of self-righteousness, oozing red wine, rage, and heat rising in waves. I give it a good practice throw, and my kidney stone skips 19 times across to the farther shore of your steaming pool of bile. My awkward approximations of antiquated analog interfaces are not quite capable of successfully coupling with your carefully crafted drop-down menus of indefinitely recombinable mood textures, but the resultant ripples of distortion and static can be surprisingly genuine. My melancholy personifications of condemned 20th century brick tenements harsh the swoony buzz of your anthropomorphized ant colony high-rise micro-apartment complex with incredible walk score aspirations. My rootless cosmopolitan nonchalance unnerves your hard-fought provincial self of sense of well-rootedness. The fanning cracks in the corners of my rose-colored sunglasses reveal infinitely recurring fractals of your harsh realities, and like a cunning linguist caught in somebody else's glass bead game, I revel in the gratuitous pleasures of submerging myself in the staccato rhythms of a crumbling empire's lingua franca, steeped in the street creoles of creative resistance at the bottoms of the turtle stacks. I talk my smack, drink my coffee black. No cream, no sugar, just put a little bit of cinnamon in it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. And now, isn't it Julie now? We have a Julie here? Yes, there she is, okay. She's getting ready. Give her a round when she comes up. A wonderful poet, a handsome person of the soul, a soulful person of the heart. I'll stop now.
Thank you so much for stopping.
Yes. You know me.
I blame Peter for all of those rumors.
Yeah, so do I. Crying out loud. And we have Garrett Murphy to follow in the know one. So
I'm just going to read 3, for me, oldies but goodies. This first one I observed on the corner of Waller and Fillmore, sitting at Cafe du Soleil. It's called Stilts. Just made some stuff and enjoyed it, says Stilt Walker. Woke up with a want to walk on stilts. Went to the hardware store, hammered them together, rose above the street like a circus, man, a parade. Bird's eye view over bald spots, dark roots, and hat tops. In the trees, man, higher than stop signs, parting crowds, master over pedestrians with small dogs, but unable to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Different tools, man. Longer poles. Did you get it? You didn't get it? Okay.
Try.
you had to be there.
Maybe you'll get this one.
Okay.
Okay.
This is for President Rudra. It's an inside. It's called The Country as a Toilet. Politics. Tissue on a bathroom floor, used and tossed, the intended function fleeting as a flush. Not to insult, but the pipes are clogged, the deodorizer spent. No claims to deciphering the news or how to fix the way it is continually running on, but here I am in the sewer system, with the classes sinking into lower economics, in the swirl of the drain that starts in a full tank and fills to empty us.
Yeah.
Did you get it, Mark?
That one I got.
Is that about the president?
I don't know.
Eh?
Brain too full. Brain too full.
That's my middle name.
Brain too full.
Yeah, brain.
And this is a rant about getting old.
Oh no.
My Aunt Bess used to say, getting old ain't for sissies.
My mom said something similar, but she was not as polite.
Neither was my aunt, but she also she lived at this retirement community, and she called it Limp Dick Estates. Seriously, this is my very straight family was like, what? I'm like, yes.
You said what?
So this is called the routine. This body leaks, limps, creaks from the mattress, knees crack, back cramps, eyes tear and goo, squinting at clocks, books, the horror of mirrors, street signs, menus. The brain forgets to clean the glasses. What day is it? Who knows where I put it or what I just said anyway? I can't hear you across the table. Just warbling background rush pierced by tinnitus. Say again? Plugs in my ears. He says I snore. Gotta wear pads everywhere. In shoes to fit the knots, riding bronco on toe joints. Padded chairs, bed pads, heating pads, pillows, wrist braces, rolls of belly flub. Flab like grandma's swings from my arms, waving like white flags. Note that hair disappears from the head to appear out of nose, ears, chin. The teeth move out as the fakes move in. The topographical map of veins. What a shock! Need to pay attention to diet. Try to walk. Don't forget to set the meds up. Don't get plugged up on the pot. What goes in comes out different. A late night romance with a foghorn or the clickety-clack of a ratchet. Batten down the hatches. Don't breathe, but don't stop. That's the key to keep all this going. Thank you very much.
Routine. Thank you, Julie. Garrett. Will Garrett please advance to the mic? And then Owen will close us out. And thank you, David, for being, what do you call it?
Of service.
No. What do you call it when you do something before you're supposed to? You get it. You go in ahead of time. Proactive. Thank you.
Proactive.
Jesus Christ, that vocabulary just escapes me. And Owen, we have you coming up. And then we do these marvelous door prizes.
The original World War. One follower comes along, makes a gesture of sorts, says, "Praise to my deity to the greatest one of all." Another comes along, makes a gesture of sorts, says, "Praise to my deity to the greatest of all." A third comes along, makes a gesture of sorts, says, "All praise to my deity to the supreme one of all." A fourth comes along, makes a gesture of sorts, says, "Sing praises to my deity to the mightiest of all." And all this continues with similar effect. Then all you know what begins to percolate. What do you mean, your deity? My deity is the greatest of all. What sacrilege? Mine is the greatest deity. You're both wrong. Mine is the omnipotent deity. Says you'll all burn in Hades at the feet of my deity. None of your deities can compare with mine. Blasphemer, sinner, infidel. Needless to say, before too long a battle of all with many fronts has occurred and sadly continues to this day. And one can't help but surmise to oneself whether countless distances above the continual war, the various deities who have been referred to by the warriors below are shaking their heads with resignation and sympathy as they discuss among themselves this well-worn query, what have we done to deserve these for our followers? Safe and sound. Here you sit in your suburban abode, well beyond the security gates, on the quiet side of the sound wall along the throughway, at home watching the news on TV, reveling in the story about the newly erected border fence and the resurrection of old crows. But it's not enough. It never is enough, and they keep on coming. They never stop coming. Soon there will be nowhere left to run, nowhere left to hide. Walled in, cut off, suffocation is imminent, and they're still coming. It's enough to cause one to commit the capital offense of building a bridge.
Eric Murphy. Now Alan will close us out. He is the last word. He opens and closes the second half. We get these fine, wonderful prizes to distribute, and we will have then glorious hosannas and
Right this way, sir.
various kinds of things.
No good.
There we go.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. What? There's always one.
Now is one.
I like it though. A man after my own heart.
A Lieber Fiddles. A beast lying in Dover, the day prayers stood still, the air as impetuous as it was, the air lying to meet its whereabouts, the whereabouts of the air. Done the beast from 14 lines. I be in Clover in Dover, weak rhymes, the opera of madness. Comedy is no kid. You can hem and haw your way to Missouri. Muleteers guffaw in the wine vats. I'm as mixed up as everyone else could have been. If they had tried too hard, my Father stands in heaven. I wonder if laughter is contempt. Cancer is no kid to kid you. The broken music mirror. Times often I hurried on the bus, the ubiquitous 30 bus, the day the rain poured out of my father's umbrella. No time really to step out of the traffic. Rain soaked, the day turned out to be sort of dark, sort of a little miserable. The miserable cold as is. Stand easy, broken weather. Clouds, stay up in the sky. Flitz, the ego is tired and kind to try a maiden on for size. Send a metaphor on its maiden voyage. Lapels are double-breasted, big as brick vests. Guys and dolls last all night. The metaphor disguises a poem. A mere poem talks to the night. Air, the music is in the fine air. The gentle guitar, the sound lost in the blue insect night. "14 lines on a theme by Jack Spicer. A day's like all days, the shoddy sun, the concealed moon, maybe it will shine tonight. The poem appears behind a bush. The poem has all the joy of a wild rabbit. Wabbit, Elmer Fudd, suppress the metaphor. Every metaphor before it appears on the page, before it climbs between your legs. Someday a metaphor will be beneath the sea, hiding from you where you cannot find it, no matter how hard you look. I am like an Aussie, a mad Aussie, chasing after what he thinks he wants. Chasing and cooking and eating every metaphor he finds on the planet. No, the planet is not the spice box of Earth. It is Elmer Fudd's garden. Jack's eyes. At the North Beach Library, there's a large picture of Jack Kerouac typing on a teletype roll. His eyes not tired, but expressionless. Of course, a Pisces is different. Go out and type again. Anytime, any place, anywhere.
Thank Mr. Owen. Nice round. Oh, I thought you
Yes,
were-
type Olive on the road. His eyes are like this poem. They have everything and nothing to say.
Sorry about that. I thought you were done with that piece. I got you.
That's okay.
Give him a round, please.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much.